the brain you have. But they're paid a lot of money because you value your brain. You don't go and look for the cheapest brain surgeon you can find. You don't say, I'll take the brain surgeon that doesn't wash their hands after every operation. Or I'll use the brain surgeon that uses last year's x-ray machine. You want the best, because your brain is important to you. And to a business person, their business is important to them. So they will ask for the best, the person who can do the job the fastest, the cheapest, and the best. So how do you get started in this? First of all, you have to know your market. You have to know the business that you're going to be approaching to sell your software and to sell your services. You have to know what value you're going to be adding to that customer. How to make their business work faster and better. You have to come up with a real business plan about how you are going to make your business go forward. You have to know how to market your services to the owner of the business. I'm afraid you're going to have to put on a tie and a nice shirt and maybe a suit, because these people are business people and they want to know that they're talking to somebody who thinks like them. You're going to have a financial plan for your company to be able to get the finances going until you start bringing in money. And then you should have an exit strategy that once you've built your business up, how do you sell your business so that you can retire to some nice place like Cancun? You should also look at getting certified if you're a systems administrator. Certification is not just about getting a piece of paper. It's about looking to see what skills you need to be a good systems administrator. And learning that information so that you have that knowledge when you need it. Linux Professional Institute has been going on for over 10 years. They have a very low-cost certification that anybody can study by themselves. You should go to their website, www.lpi.org, and check them out. Now, in Rio de Janeiro, there was a small company who was investigating pharmaceuticals and the Brazilian rainforest. And the software that they needed was proprietary software that was very expensive, but only available in English. All of them spoke Portuguese. And so the value of this very expensive software to them was zero. They went to an open source person and said, please, could you help us create this software using open source that would prompt in Portuguese? And the person said yes. And by using pieces of open source like Postgres and OpenGIS and GNU-GLOT, he was able to put together a solution in 3 months for a total cost of $380,000 US. So he was paid over $100,000 a month as a programmer. Plus he got a contract to keep maintaining this software. And the little company saved over $4 million US and got software which prompted in Portuguese. The value of this software to them was not $4 million. It was not $380,000. It was almost infinite, because without this software, they could not do their job. And so the value of their software to them was infinite. You have to understand the difference between cost and value. Supercomputers. The world's largest supercomputer in the world runs Linux. The world's second largest supercomputer runs Linux. The world's third largest supercomputer, called Columbia, which has 10,240 processors, runs Linux. The same Linux operating system that I'm running here in my notebook. It produces the needs for jobs for people who know how to program these systems. To solve what types of problems? Prospecting for resources such as oil or gems or other things. Image rendering, the making of movies. Image recognition, to be able to do geological and graphical resource management. Financial applications. This type of supercomputing power will be necessary for Mexico in order to be able to do the engineering simulations which you need to be able to do manufacturing and develop new products. By using Linux, you can do this. How many of you saw the movie Shrek? How many live actors were in Shrek? 0. How many of you saw the movie Big Buck Bunny? How many voices were in that movie? 0. Why can't those movies be made here in Mexico? Why can't those movies generate jobs here in Mexico? Why should those movies be made in the United States? That's a question you have to ask. Both of those movies were made using free software. We go from the very large to the very small, embedded systems. The types of systems that go into new refrigerators, new microwave ovens. The most used operating system in developing new embedded systems is Linux. Why? Because it uses different types of CPUs. It's multi-user, it's secure, it's stable, and it's royalty-free. So if you're going to make 100,000 TV sets, you don't want to have to pay $1 a piece just to use the operating system. Here's other different embedded systems that use Linux, including a watch. Why shouldn't you be giving these type of systems to your university students? Allow your university students to come up with ideas for new products that could then be manufactured here in Mexico, giving jobs to Mexicans. And then export those products to the rest of the world. In St. Petersburg, Russia, there is something known as a turbine test bed. There are 5 of these in the world. 4 of them use proprietary closed source software. It takes a month for the proprietary people to make even the slightest change to their software to allow the engineers to do a better job of designing turbines. But the last one, who was in St. Petersburg, used Linux to run his system. He used MySQL as a database, GNU plot to plot out where he puts the sensors, Tickle TK to draw diagrams for the engineers. And he can make changes to his software overnight so that his customers or engineers get a better value for their money. It's the value of the software, not the cost. So you have a value-added reseller, the person who takes the different components, puts them together to create value for the customer. That's what they charge for. That's where they make their money. Not whether the software is closed source or open source. But it's easier for them to work with open source software because they can change the software to meet the needs of their customers.